One. Welcome back to Phillies Sports Reports. Today I am joined by the one, the only, Alex Carr. How's it going, Alex?
What's up, man? Thanks for having me. Appreciate it as always.
Thank you for coming on.
Yeah,
So
of
we're
course.
going to jump right in here. We are basically done with the first half. There's one game left. When this video gets posted, we'll be at the halfway point in the All-Star break. But where do the Phillies stand with the first half done? Like, where do you see them right now?
I mean, this division is obviously a little bit of a mess. Whether you look at, there's been a lot of injuries, there's been a lot of mishaps, a lot of, teams haven't performed as well as they thought they would. Whether that's because, they left out some key reinforcements or what have you. But you can pretty much point to a major flaw in any of these top NL East teams. But right now, as things stand, the Phillies are a game behind the Braves, and then they are, I suppose, since the second game of their doubleheader has not concluded, they are 4.5 games back of the Mets. Just 4 games, but
Yeah,
probably going to be 4.5 if they beat the Pirates in their second game of this doubleheader. Right now, I see them as exactly where I thought they would be. They are in a position where they can either, spend big with, their prospect capital and push the chips into the middle and, swing their money around and say, hey, we are going to compete, or they can play it safe, which they always seem to do, acquire, 1 or 2 relievers, maybe a bench bat, and call it a day. I think they will probably end up going for a little bit more of the push the chips in route. This team isn't getting any younger. The window hasn't exactly flown open yet, but it's getting close. And if they can manage to win this division, it's going to be tight. But if they can manage to win it, then the horizon gets really broad. You probably look at going over the luxury tax next year. You probably look at a couple of the bigger named free agents next year. But that's an if situation. But the chance is there. The Mets are not the juggernaut people thought they would be. Francisco Lindor has slumped. Michael Conforto has slumped. Michael Conforto has seen his fair share of injury, but I mean, you can't really point to a player on the Mets right now that's really doing it all, except for everybody in the pitching staff, which is what's keeping them afloat right now. That being said, they're probably going to look to reinforce their offense at the deadline. So, they're probably looking at a lot of the same guys the Phillies are. So, got to think about that when you're going out for guys this trade deadline season. But it's sure to be an exciting one, and if they want, they can make a significant push this year.
They sure can. What do you think the Phillies need to do in the second half to possibly make the postseason?
They have to be better defensively. That is a no-brainer. They just have to shore up the general specifics of the game. I mean, you really got to be better. If you're Didi Gregorius, you gotta channel those. When he was a young prospect, he was heralded for his defense. You got to channel that. I know his body doesn't move like it used to, but there was a play the other day. He really needed to charge the baseball. He did not charge the baseball. It resulted in, a costly error. And then we all know what happened from there. The Red Sox went on to pummel the Phillies. On top of that, there's just, no excuse for, somebody like Rhys Hoskins making so many misplays as he does. Luckily, the outfield defense has actually been a little bit better. Alec Boehm has seen a little bit of an improvement at third base. So, maybe you're looking more towards the either the third base side of things, or maybe even the outfield side of things if you're looking to really shore things up. But look, I mean, they just need to play. This is so general, but they need to play better baseball. They need to play cleaner baseball. They need to they need to have a manager that can manage the bullpen properly. And granted, he doesn't have the best tools with which to do it, but acquiring a closer makes that job a lot easier. You've got a couple of guys to choose from when you look at stoppers or setup men to hold your lead, and then you got one guy to point to and say, hey, that's my closer. Craig Kimbrel's on the market. If that's something they want to explore, They totally should. But it really all comes down to two major points, which for me, or I suppose three. They need to find consistency, which is a very key thing in a winning ball club. They need to obviously play cleaner, whether that's on the managerial side of things or on the defensive side of things or on the bullpen side of things. And they just need to keep their heads up. They do. Just in terms of knowing that they're a team that is 4 games out of first place in this division. Like, it is far from over. They have got to keep that morale high, because that is what separates you. I mean, you look at a team like the Mets, they've got great chemistry going in that ball club. So they really need to find some of that, and they probably have it, but the Mets are definitely a lot closer, as tighter knit as a club than the Phillies are, I would say.
The Mets. The trade deadline is creeping closer. Our favorite time of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see the Phillies as buyers or sellers this year?
I'm gonna be honest. I see them as buyers. Again, for all the reasons that I mentioned, I think that you're too close to just let this chance slip away. The Mets are the Mets. The Phillies are the Phillies, but the Mets are the Mets. And so I think that what you're looking at here is just whoever has the stronger deadline. Truly, whoever does the most to shore up their team is going to come out on top here. I really think it's a toss up in this division. Heck, the Braves could do something here. They could make some big move and all of a sudden be really high in the standings, at least in terms of favorability. But you never know. It could all come down to one key injury, one key game, one key anything. So I just think that the Phillies, they have to buy in the position that they're in. The Braves might have just lost Ronald Acuna Jr. We have no idea. The Mets are the Mets, and they also just have had zero production from a lot of the guys they really expected production from. And their pitching staff is what's really, really separating them from really being a lackluster team right now. And it's not even the bullpen; it's the starting pitching. That they are going deep into games. They are putting up consistent numbers. Philly's got to find some of that. So hopefully, they'll be buyers, and if they were sellers, they wouldn't have a ton to sell off at this point. I mean, Odubel Herrera's value has taken a sharp dive. He has gone into a heck of a slump. I mean, just an awful slump. And as somebody who is not an Odubel Herrera fan, I can say that, of course, that is a good thing, but also a bad thing, because now they don't get the value out of him that they would have gotten at the trade deadline had he kept hitting so hot. On top of that, I mean, Andrew McCutchen has been amazing since the start of June, but that's a hefty contract. It's like, you would have to pay down most of that if you were looking to really get any value out of him. Hector Neris has kind of blown all his value out of the water. Same with guys like Archie Bradley. He didn't really have a ton of value to begin with, just because of his injury and how much reliever depth there is on the market right now. So, there's not a lot to sell. So there'll be buyers in some respect. I just don't know to what degree yet, but we'll find out.
Staying with the trade deadline. There we go. I couldn't speak English. What moves do you think the Phillies should make before the deadline?
I think, honestly, one of the most glaring moves they should be making at this point is trading for Craig Kimbrel. I think that, look, he's got a really hefty contract, and having all that money on your payroll is going to be tough. They cannot actually afford to add him right now if they don't want to go over the luxury tax, unless the Cubs pay down some of his salary. The Phillies actually do have a decent amount of space pre-luxury tax. And there are some moves that they can make to get some of that payroll out of there, namely, getting rid of Chase Anderson, getting rid of maybe Odubel Herrera, figuring out what you can do to maneuver a little bit, and maybe a couple of those guys go back to the Cubs. But it's gonna be interesting to see if they can make something like that work. And if they can, I mean, the one thing that this team has desperately needed over the last 3 years, the last 3 years where they've fallen short, is a closer, somebody that they can point to and say, hey, this guy is going to close out the game. And they may not succeed every time, but at least a majority of the time they are converting that save. And Craig Kimbrel right now is just on another planet. He has refound his all-star form. I don't know what he's done. I don't know what he did, but the only thing that I can say is that I think Caleb Cotham would only help him. And I don't think he would hurt him. And what's great is that, if Craig Kimbrel does come back, if he really is this guy now, you're trading for a guy with an extra year of control. If you can get that paid down by the Cubs, I mean, you've got a pretty good closer for the next 2 years. So it could be really interesting. And hopefully, his steep contract value will lower the price prospectually. It's a really good fit for the Phils. On top of that, you could also reach out to the Cubs about Chris Bryant, although I think there are way better fits out there for him. You can't discount Bryce Harper's best friend coming to join him in Philadelphia. I also think that there's a couple of marginal upgrades they could make. Ryan Tepera on the Cubs. There's a whole bunch of bullpen arms out there. I mean, there's Ryan Tepera. There's Ian Kennedy is out there as well. There's a whole bunch of guys. You could name a whole bunch, and they'd probably all be good fits. I don't think they'll go after somebody like Michael Feliz or Richard Rodriguez. Those guys are both probably a little bit too out of the price range. But I do think that they'll try and make a significant upgrade in the bullpen. They'll probably look for a starting pitcher that can eat some innings. So somebody like Matt Boyd, maybe John Gray of the Rockies, if they really want to, take charge. I think that actually would be the best option for them. John Gray has been one of those guys that if he can figure it out, he'd be a pretty good pitcher. He's figured it out this year and at Coors Field. So that could be a really interesting name to watch for the Phils for sure. Because he's in arbitration. He was a near non-tender candidate last year. His value is not exactly going to be super high. So that could be interesting. But I don't think they'll be shopping in the elite end of starting pitching. I would hope they prove me wrong. Taylor Rogers of the Twins is also another guy that I'd look for if they don't want to spend on Craig Kimbrel's price tag. I think Taylor Rogers is an awesome back-end reliever option. Definitely has closing experience, so that would be very interesting as well. And then I think that the one move that I think that they should absolutely make, Jonathan Schoop of the Detroit Tigers. I think Jonathan Schoop, shockingly, I tweeted about this the other day, shockingly, a 20 career WAR player. Shockingly. He has done that way under the radar. He's only 29 years old, absolutely demolishes left-handed pitching, and is just a guy that I'm sure would not mind riding the bench on a competitive club, would not mind seeing him come back next year, either as kind of a Brad Miller type. So that way you have Jonathan Schoop and Brad Miller on the same bench. That would be crazy good. Just very exciting. So I would really, really like to see that move happen as well. So those are the kinds of moves that I think they should perform. But in the end, they need at least one back-end bullpen option. They need at least one right-handed bench bat. And they need one right-handed bench bat. And then they need at least one starting pitcher of some caliber.
All right. We move on to the draft, which yes. I know, according to your Twitter bio, you are the lover of prospects.
That's me.
So, do you have a guy for the draft this year?
So I know that there are a lot of people, especially on Phillies Twitter, that dub that they have a guy. They've got this guy. This is my guy. Personally, not particularly. I think that this draft in particular has a very steep drop off in talent after around the 6th or 7th pick in the draft. So I mean, we're looking at like after the Jackson Jobe, Kumar Rocker side of things, we're looking at a pretty significant drop off. That being said, I do think there's a lot of high ceiling high school talent that could go in the first round, and the Phillies could go. They could go under slot in the first round and then sign some high schooler in the second round that they really, really want. Chase Petty is a popular name. I know that a lot of guys aren't particularly high on Petty because he is a high schooler that throws 100 miles an hour. That looks enticing, but what are batters in high school really going to do when they're not so used to facing 100 miles an hour? It's tough. So that would be an interesting one to look to. I am a fan of Benny Montgomery. I know he's the big name floating around right now. But truly, nobody ever knows what the Phillies are going to do in a draft. Nobody ever knows. They are so lip sealed, airtight. So nobody ever really knows. But I have heard a lot of industry speculation about Colton Cowser. They really like his bat. I really like his bat. His discipline is amazing. Some great power numbers, especially in his final year. So it'd be interesting if he drops to the Phillies, which it's looking likely that he might. And Benny Montgomery, is the big name floating around. So I would be thrilled. He is probably my number one. Were I to have a guy, even though I don't necessarily have a guy, Benny Montgomery would be that guy. The Phillies system is lacking raw power, and he's got it in spades. He has a little bit of a hitch in his swing, but the rest of the tools are just so good that it's really hard to pass him up.
All right. What are some draft takes you have for this year's draft?
Draft takes? Wow.
Do you have a list like in Google Docs or something?
Sure. I mean, I've got a ton of analysis that I've done over the last, few months. But I mean, I think it's going to be a really weird draft. I think, we saw last year was, whoa, super weird. I mean, Nick York, the projected 126 overall talent, went in the first round to the Red Sox. Crazy. We saw Heston Kjerstad go to the Orioles in the first round because they wanted to go under slot in the first and then get a high schooler, namely Nick Bitsko in the second round, and they missed him. They did not get him. So that kind of ruined their plan a little bit. It's going to be another weird one. It really is. And thankfully, the draft has expanded. Bless. I'm a little bit sad about it because the Phillies made out like bandits last year in the undrafted free agent market. But that was a one-time thing. I'm glad they made the most of it. But yeah, I think the Phillies are in a good position here. They have the 13th and the 49th pick in the first two rounds. There's a lot of flexibility you can do with that. But it's going to be a weird one. I think there are going to be some guys that drop that nobody expected to drop. I think namely the one to watch is Kumar Rocker. Look, I don't know how far he'll drop, but he's going to drop. And it's going to be really interesting to see. Jack Leiter might drop to the Red Sox. I mean, that would be crazy. Jack Leiter, just unbelievable. Could drop to 4. It would be insane. But it's going to be a weird one. I keep saying that, but it is. We just can't predict it. They lost a whole year of projectability due to COVID-19. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. But I'm really looking forward to it. I'm spending all day tomorrow just, cramming and getting ready. It's going to be really fun.
All right, let's move on to I don't know if it's yours, but my favorite event in the MLB season, the Home Run Derby.
All right.
Let's hear what you got. Who do you have? What are some upsets? Let's hear it all.
I do think that Juan Soto is going to put on more of a show than a lot of people think. I do think he'll end up losing to Shohei Ohtani, but I think Juan Soto is really the guy to watch here, and he's the 8 seed, if I'm not mistaken. So that's like shocking. So that's one to, if you're a betting person, I'd put some money on Juan Soto. He's could be a major upset. On top of that, I think that Pete Alonso has won this thing before. He's definitely a guy to watch. If you're not putting enough respect on his name, you should. I do think that Joey Gallo is going to win the whole thing. It is hard for me to see anything that he makes contact with in the Home Run Derby at Coors Field not just flying out of the ballpark. I gotta be honest. So we'll see. I do think Joey Gallo is going to win it all. I would love to see an upset, but I just think Joey Gallo he's too prolific of a power hitter, man. He is insane. So I can't wait to see what kind of a show he puts on. But yeah, it's gonna be a really fun one. I am looking forward to this Home Run Derby more than I have in years. So I'm really excited.
I think this could be one of the most exciting and most action-packed Home Run Derbies we've seen in a while.
Easily. It definitely is. I am it's hard for me to describe because I am just very excited. And I haven't been excited about All-Star Weekend in a long time. But it's the Shohei Ohtani effect, man. He's doing. I saw like a 12-year-old kid today on the streets of New Jersey wearing a Shohei Ohtani jersey. Like, I rarely see children running around in baseball jerseys these days, let alone a guy from the opposite coast. So it's exciting for me. I just love the effect that he is having on the game right now. Tatis as well. I mean, it's going to be a really fun weekend. I'm psyched.
All right. let's hear your predictions for the second half, the playoffs, the World Series, everything. Let's hear all those predictions.
All right. So for the second half, let's get the most important one out of the way, I guess. The NL East. I think the Phillies will take it. Or no, the Phillies will not take it. The Mets will take it. Pardon me.
I was about to say.
I wish the Phillies would take it. I think the Mets will take it. But I do think that there will be some drama in that second wild card spot. I mean, it's hard to get over anybody in the NL West. But I do think Gabe Kapler's Giants are gonna slump a little bit, and I think the Philadelphia Phillies will steal the second wild card out from under them. I think that's going to be really, really interesting to watch, and it would make for some great TV. Oh man, what a narrative! And then I think past that, my only real, exceptional predictions for the NL Central, I've got the Brewers. I think the Brewers are an excellent team. I think that they are, they're well constructed in the bullpen and in the starting rotation. The offense needs some work, but that is what the trade deadline is for. They will go out, they will acquire some form of bat, and they'll make it work. I think they'll be a really interesting team to watch going forward. On top of that, I think that in the NL West, I still have the Dodgers winning it, with the Padres coming in at that wild card one spot, but we'll see. That division has shaken out in a really strange way, and I'm very happy for it. It's really cool to see two teams challenging the Dodgers. Because the Dodgers are a juggernaut. They are amazing. And yes, they've been riddled with injury this year, but I mean, they're a good one. I'm excited for that. In the American League, I have the Toronto Blue Jays actually taking the East. I think they're going to make some huge moves at the deadline, and they are just going to be a really well-built postseason team. I am very, very pumped to watch them play. They are just going to be really, really good. So that pumps me up. I have them going to the World Series facing the Dodgers. So I'm really looking forward to that. I think that they'll be one to watch for sure. I also think that the Astros will win the American League West, closely followed by the Oakland Athletics. I was one who doubted the Athletics again this year. I got to stop making that same mistake. They always, they play this game so well. They make sure all the fundamentals are there. Nobody's making costly errors. They always have really, really good defenders. I mean, Matt Olson's one of the best first baseman defenders in the game. Up the middle, they are always solid. I didn't know what they would do to kind of quell Marcus Semien leaving. Elvis Andrus has been great for them at short. I mean, he's always been a good defender, but man, they figured that out. That Chris Davis trade was pretty good for them. And that's always what they seem to focus on, just defense, and making sure they have, enough value offensively at the margins to be a competitive team. They are amazing. I doubted them again. I shouldn't have. But I think that the A's will sneak into a wild card spot. I think that the American League Central will be taken by the White Sox. Obviously, that team is amazing. So I think that one's pretty clear as well. And I think that wild card 2 spot will probably be taken by the Rays in the American League East. I think the Yankees miss it. I think there's going to be some interesting off-season things going around about the Yankees. It's going to be fun to watch. But they are in a spot. It's going to be really fun. We'll see.
All right. So who do you have with the World Series taking it home?
World Series, I've got the Dodgers over the Blue Jays. Yeah, well, that's how it's got to be. That team is just. I've said this before on a bunch of other podcasts, but the Dodgers astonish me. They are the most well-built, structurally sound team that I have seen in my many, many years of watching baseball. From top-end talent to the construction of the roster to the bullpen to the starting rotation to the depth in the farm system. They are just impenetrable. And I have a hard time. Anything could happen in the postseason, but I have a hard time picturing anybody but them taking it home this year. I do.
All right. As we start to sign off, do you have anything you want to plug? Any social media?
Sure.
Twitter, Twitch.
Follow me on Twitter at Alex Carr MLB. I am very active on there to a fault. I mean, I love Twitter. Some people are, a little bit less desirable to deal with, but most of the people on there are just so awesome. I receive encouraging messages all the time, just from some really really cool folks. And so I'm very lucky to be in the position I'm in, and I love it on there. And follow me on Twitch, my brand new endeavor that I have loved. It's so awesome. I'm having a blast over there. My time is a little bit more limited now than it was when I started, but I'm having a great time. And you can follow me there at Take a Bulk. And I stream I try to stream every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. So feel free to stop by. We do game watch alongs. We do some MLB The Show gameplay when I have the time. And it's always fun. I mean, I have such a supportive community. Join our Discord as well. I'm sure the link will be in the description here.
I'll
But
post the link in the description.
yeah, that'll be awesome. Join our Discord. The Discord is just, it is such, and thank you to you, Sir Ben, for making that for me.
No problem.
The Discord is just, it's so much fun. I love being able to, like, I'm a lurker more than I am a chatter. I'm 24, so I'm not exactly I'm not one of the youngins anymore, but I lurk and I read all the messages, and everybody there is just so awesome. They're so funny, just to watch, and it's always a good time over there. So feel free to join if you like the Phillies or if you like baseball in general. We got a whole bunch of different fan bases represented in that Discord, so feel free to stop by.
All right. Thank you for coming on.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. Appreciate you.
And for everyone viewing, thank you for watching, and we'll see you sometime, whatever. I don't know.
See you next time.
Next time I make a video.
Yeah.